Hey guys, Jake Palat here on my Tige 23 RZX, and today I'm going to run you through what I think is one of the coolest systems that Tige has, the tap system. So the tap system is controlled by this little switch here on the throttle, and what it's doing is it's putting a plate in the back of the boat, either putting it down or pulling it up as needed. So in your different settings, it automatically deploys to a certain setting to give you the optimal wake, whether you're skiing, surfing, or wakeboarding. These stock settings generally do a pretty good job of creating the optimal wake for your rider, depending on skill level or wave height that you're looking for. But you can always fine tune it as needed. So the tap system runs 1 through 8, with 1 being your tab is fully deployed all the way down, making the bow of the boat ride lower and your wake be flatter. 8 is when the tab is pulled all the way up and your bow is going to ride higher, giving you a taller, steeper wake. So the reason that you would want to fine tune this for yourself is if you're doing different things such as driving, just cruising around on the lake, water skiing where you want a really flat wake, surfing if you want to fine tune a taller, steeper wave or a longer, more mellow wave, or wakeboarding if you're looking to add a little bit of lip on your wake or make it mellower for a beginner rider. So typically if you're just cruising around on the lake, driving around with a boat full of people, depending on where people are distributed in the boat and how rough it is, that's when you would want to mess with your taps. So if you're driving around on a rough lake, you might want to lift up on your taps a little bit, putting them to a 2 or a 3 to get that bow to sit a little higher so that you're not dipping too bad in between big waves. If you're just cruising around and it's super flat and nice out and you just want the boat to run really flat, you'll put your taps to 1, which fully deploys that tab down, making your bow sit lower and your boat will run nice and flat as you're just driving around the lake. In the ski position, taps is definitely your friend. So the more engaged it is, the lower the number, the better off you're going to be with your ski wake, as that's going to flatten it out. So in surf position, it's kind of a cool thing to be able to mess with your tabs. As you're surfing, you can really draw your wake out longer by engaging your taps more. The stock surf setting on my boat is at a 4 on your taps, which is about halfway engaged with the plate. If you want to experiment with making that wave super long, put that number down to a 2 or a 3, and that'll really lengthen your wave out, making it mellower and giving you a ton of room to play with as you move back from the boat. If you're a surfer that likes a way steeper wave and you're just looking for that big wall of water to stand up behind you, then your goal is to use less taps, making the boat sit deeper in the water. So you'll want to run a little bit higher of a number so that that taps plate is less engaged. So if the stock setting is a 4, you might want to try a 5 or a 6 on your taps plate, and that'll really make that wave stand up and be super steep. It will shorten it a little bit, but the nice thing is everything's fine-tunable. So you can play with whether you want a long mellow wave, steep short wave, or that stock setting that sits somewhere in between. Finally, for wakeboard wakes, the stock setting on the pro setting that I normally ride at is taps on 3. Personally, I like a little bit more of a lip on my wake, so I'll put it up to a 4, pulling that plate up a little bit, allowing the boat to sit just a little bit deeper and making the wake a little bit steeper. If you're running a slower speed or pulling kids or entry-level riders, a lot of times you really don't want a steep wake, so go ahead and engage that taps plate at a 1 or a 2, and that's going to flatten that wake out, making it a lot less intimidating and giving you a cleaner wake at a slower speed. As you speed up, if you're pulling a higher level wakeboarder, that's when you would want the taps plate at a 3 or a 4, giving the wake a little bit more of a lip for the rider to do tricks off of as they jump the wakes. So in addition to your taps control on your throttle, you also have taps controls on your screen, so you can choose either one to control your taps plates manually on the screen or on the throttle. So in a nutshell, that's how taps works. What it's controlling is that center plate in the back of the boat, which determines the pitch that your boat is going to run at, flatter or more bow up. So in conclusion, taps on 1 is when the taps plate is most engaged, making your boat run flatter and flattening your wake out. Taps on 8 is when the taps plate is all the way up, not engaged at all, and your wake is going to be steeper and stand up taller. Generally, as I said, the ideal settings fall somewhere in between 1 and 8. Typically, taps on 3 or 4 works for most things pretty well, but it's a really cool feature to be able to fine-tune your wake to be exactly how you want it to be. So overall, that's how the TAPS system works on Tige and ATX boats. It's super useful for any activity that you're doing on the water, from driving around, surfing, wakeboarding, or skiing. It works great for all of the above. Hope this video was helpful for you. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to follow along for more, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions about anything we went over. Thanks for watching.